Hey YouTubers, my name is Zach from Goldstripe Coffee Roasters, and I have been eyeing this roaster for a very long time. It is just a beautiful piece of equipment aesthetically, and I was sure hoping that its performance matched its style. I had the opportunity to borrow this roaster from one of our customers. The roaster that my brother and I run our business with is just a bigger drum gas roaster than this one, which means that I feel that this is just super cute. However, there's not a whole lot of videos about setting this up and unboxing it, so I thought it would be helpful to put out this video. The first thing that I found intimidating was this regulator for propane. I saw some scary things that people were posting online about it not fitting right, or you have to cinch it down, which is going to cross thread the fittings. I just had never seen this particular hookup for a propane tank. You'll notice that I just changed directions because you have to go lefty-tighty on this to attach it. And it also, you'll notice, will go threaded on the inside of this, whereas many gas grills are actually going to attach to the outside of these threads. So that was one thing I found kind of odd, thinking that I was going to need some kind of adapter, but you don't. So when you put this in, just remember lefty-tighty on that. And I also really hate scuffing up brand new things. And I asked my friend if I could have his permission to take a wrench to this to really cinch it down, because from what I'd read on the forums online, that's what it required to get a good fitting against this tank. And so I took a towel, wrapped around this, took a wrench and really cinched it down, and that worked. However, admittedly, I didn't try doing it just by hand to see if the gas would work. I was leaning only on my research and not on actual hands-on experience. So now, after having turned this on and roasting with it, I did try just tightening it by hand and realized that it actually fits just fine. It's not a problem to tighten it down by hand and then turn on your tank. You do want to make sure that this is pressed as kind of a primer to let the gas through. And then this as well, I think, is really great for the design of this roaster. He's got the switch to the burner here, but then he's got a pressure control valve here. And so by opening that, and then we can turn this on. And if you can see up under there, now the flame's going. I had the best experience with charging at about 275 degrees Fahrenheit. I never pushed the pressure on here over the 4 mark. I went gradually down from 4 once I hit the turnaround on my curve and started climbing again. I just gradually worked my way down until I got to first crack. I was around the 2. And then in the last minute and a half of my roast, basically heat all the way to off and fan to full power. And I had really good results with that. So I'm going to turn that off now, and you can see how that gauge functions. But I think that that's a very helpful design so that you have a good reference for the heat adjustments that you're making. My buddy that let me borrow this also had gone and put in this dimmer switch, which I found was helpful too for the fan. There's some beefy voltage control knobs that people will get for these roasters. I have a little bit of experience with commercial roasting, so I didn't find this to be terribly inconvenient as far as too few adjustments or anything. I thought it did just fine. Now, the other thing I thought could stand to be spoken about on this roaster is this trier. It's just the cutest thing ever, but actually using it during the roast I found was kind of challenging because you have to dodge the thermocouple or the thermometer here to get your sample out. Where I wanted to pull it straight out, it was catching here, so had to kind of tilt, pull, and then finish and coming out. So that was a little less than awesome, but not a huge thing. I mean, overall, I really loved this roaster. I really liked using it. I think that for someone who is a plug and play kind of a person, this is not what you want to use, because this is very manual, and there's a lot of pieces, a lot of moving pieces. If you don't get the double cooling tray set up, the double hopper, double fan, then there's going to be a lot of things to move. But even with all of those things, there's still just a lot going on as compared to the bullet roaster that's kind of in the same class as this Huky is. But I love that because it's just so innovative, the way that he's laid out the airflow and the way this setup functions. And so I find that alone fun, even though it may not be the most compact. I would currently pick the Huky over the bullet as it stands right now, although I have not yet roasted on a bullet. Those look really cool, but I am a sucker for gas, and unless my research has misled me to come to the wrong conclusion, I think the bullet is an electric roaster. I hope this helps. I recommend that you use no wrenches on the propane tank to start. And also this hose, you may come across some people online saying, oh, this needs to have a different kind of hose, or it needs to have a hose clamp. But the type of hose that he used for this setup is very intentional, from what I could gather and from my experience on it. The hose gives ample pressure, line pressure, to the burner, which is really good to give you plenty of power. There's no give on this hose. It's not going anywhere. So once again, don't let what some people are mentioning online scare you about how this roaster arrives and needing to make extra trips to Home Depot and do modifications before ever using it at all. Now, if you find you want to tinker on your own, that's great, but this guy is very intentional about designing these roasters, and I think has done a stellar job. So I had a lot of fun. I hope you do too. Have a great day.